Pew pew pew.
Pew 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 pew
Pew
pew. Who's your daddy? I'm just kidding. This is the Average Fellas Podcast. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Another episode of Star Bros.
Star Bros.
Awesome. Another awesome episode today, guys. Good to be alive. Today is September 10th. 2020, September 10th, 2020. I'm your host, Zodizach, coming to you live all the way from Riverside, California. I am joined on Facebook with my brother, my guy. What up, dude?
How's it going?
Not
Beastmodesquats
bad.
here.
How's your week going, buddy?
Coming to you live from Santa Nella. Yep. Doing good, actually. Doing good. It has been clearing up over. Well, it was cleared up.
Yeah.
And then literally everything went back to gray again.
Yeah.
Because
fires.
Like 20 fires ended up going off over here in California.
Jeez, you catch the news because of a gender reveal party. Can you believe that?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, really? You got to be kidding me.
It's a strange time to be alive, man. It's a shame. It is a shame. Yeah.
COVID and baby shower fires.
Not a good mix.
Not a good mix.
Today's September 10th, man. You know what that means, right?
Yep.
That means that we all rested our heads that
2001. The night before 2001, September 11th.
September 10th, 2001, we all rested our heads. It was a quiet night.
Yep.
And in the morning, our lives changed. I mean, specifically for millennials, at least I know. Is that right?
Definitely changed the United States, big time.
Changed
First
United
time.
States, yeah. I mean, I don't even know what to think of 9/11 anymore. Like, of course, I pay homage to those who lost their lives, those firefighters, first responders, all the military people who given their lives to fight in these battles and stuff.
Definitely big shout out to you guys, the military. Big time, awesome. Air Force, Army, Navy. Thank you so much. Marines, everybody.
Firefighters, police.
Yep, firefighters, police,
first responders,
paramedics, EMTs.
All of you guys. Big shout out to you guys. Big shout out to you guys in California, the firefighters in California right now, fighting these fires. But yeah, we just wanted to commemorate 9/11. So yeah, just a shout out to all you guys.
Yeah.
Anyways, this is Star Bros, and this is a Average Fellas Podcast show. So yeah, let's get into it. A little bit of a strange intro there, but we gotta pay our respects when you got to do. You just gotta do it. Anyways, yeah, chapter 5. If you guys know, this is Thursday night. What we do is we jump on Facebook after we watch an episode of Mandalorian. My brother and I are following the series leading up to season 2 of the Mandalorian. I know we have a confirmed release date for that.
It is confirmed, October 30th, 2020.
October 30th, season 2, ladies and gentlemen. This is gonna be awesome.
The day before Halloween, so we will see our first episode of season 2 the day before Halloween.
Man, that's gonna be awesome. Yeah, so I think we're on pace right now. We just finished episode 5, right? So we're gonna talk about episode 5 tonight.
The Gunslinger.
6, 7, and 8 left, leading up to October, and then I think we were gonna go over Rogue One, right? Mm-hmm. And then if you wanted to pick a Star Wars, or maybe anybody listening wants to pick one for us to review too, but for sure we're gonna get in Rogue One, leading up to Mandalorian season 2. So. Anyways, tonight was chapter 5. So once again, you guys just watch the episode and then join us on Thursday night for the podcast for us just talk through it and see what we learned, any things that were cool for us. We just kind of catch up, and it's a way for me and my brother to have a moment to catch up and just be bros again, but also just do something fun. Talk about Star Wars
during quarantine. Yep.
Anyways. Yeah, dude. So episode 5. Why don't you go ahead and give us your breakdown?
Basically, start out of episode 5. Starts out with Mando and Baby Yoda, basically on the run, um, because as you know, in these past episodes that we've been watching, it's kind of like a jailbreak, Phil, because Baby Yoda was supposed to be delivered to um,
To
the
the First
main
Order.
to the First Order, yeah, and he wasn't. Obviously, we've been talking about it. He kind of got taken, as we know. Mando kind of took over and was like, "Hey, you're mine. I'm bringing you with me,"
Yeah.
And so they're basically on the run at this point right now, and their ship, basically, they end up in a kind of like a firefight
Yeah.
in the beginning, and these other ships are coming after them because they know, like, hey, you got the package. We need you. You need to give up the package right now. You got to come back. Basically, they're talking about Baby Yoda.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, you stole him. You got to come back.
So basically,
And
basically, what we're saying is, as of episode 5, Mando is still on the run because he stole the package, which is Baby Yoda. He stole it
yes,
from what we think is the beginning of the First Order, right?
First Order.
I
Yeah,
think it's the beginning of them because this takes place 5 years after the death, I believe, of I want to say Jabba the Hutt. This takes place after, like, 5 to 4 years after Return of the Jedi.
So
So
yeah, and so Kylo has nothing. Yeah, this is still early.
So I think this is early First
Still
Order, like
early.
leading up to
Yeah,
the First Order, right?
yeah. And so basically, Mando ends up in a firefight with this guy, and one of the cool parts in there that he's like, I could bring you in warm or I could bring you in cold, and then Mando's like, that's my line, bro. Takes him out. And so I thought that was a cool part of his little thing.
Yeah.
But basically, Mando heads to Los Eisley, and if you don't know, that's where Luke and Obi-Wan go to find Han Solo.
That's
I don't
right.
know if you know. I don't know if you knew that, but that's where Mando's destination. He heads to Los Eisley, and basically,
That's right.
yeah, and Obi-Wan and Luke basically go meet Han Solo at the Los Eisley spaceport.
Which I thought was cool because in the beginning of this episode, Mando drops off his ship. He drops off the Razor Crest. That's the name of his ship,
Yeah.
right? Such a cool name for a ship,
and
which
that's
I'm
he
starting
dropped
to
it off.
really like. I really like. I mean, obviously, Millennium Falcon you can't mess with. I really love the B-wing. The B-wing is a great ship in Star Wars.
Slave One is legit
Slave One,
too.
That's
Slave,
Boba Fett's
that's
ship.
Boba Fett's ship. Yep.
And then now you have this ship, the Razor Crest, which just happens to be like, it looks like an old clone trooper ship almost.
Yeah.
So really cool ship. I also really liked. I have a little bit of an affinity for the Naboo fighter. That's my puppy.
The yellow one, right?
Yeah, the yellow one from
Naboo
episode
fighter.
1. Those were kind of swanky. I do have a little bit of a soft spot for them. Yeah, so at this point, Mando ends up docking his ship in this Mos Eisley spaceport, which is pretty cool because it's a throwback for us old school fans.
Definitely,
because we find Han Solo in the Mos Eisley spaceport, right, in the cantina.
Yep.
In this episode, which is really cool, is that you actually get to see where he meets Toro, his the other character that's introduced in this episode. He's sort of chilling in on the table like Han Solo would when you actually meet him.
Yeah,
which is a really cool callback to that.
Toro Calican.
Yeah. So why don't you pick it up from there?
So basically, he docks, basically gives his ship over to this lady, and he pays her actually 500 Imperial credits to fix the ship, to be exact. But while he's there, he meets he meets Calican in the canteen. He's in the cantina. He's a bounty hunter as well.
Yeah, he's he's a greenhorn bounty hunter.
Yeah, he's kind of like he's trying to get into the guild. He needs to prove his ranks pretty much to get into the guild. He's not there. He's not he's not a bounty hunter yet. He's just he's a
It's
he's
his
just
first bounty, actually. I think he says
his
he
first
tells
bounty. Yeah.
Mando, he's like, "This is my first bounty." He,
Yeah.
if you guys think that we're spoiling anything, this has been out already. We're moving on to season 2. This is our countdown
Yeah.
leading into season 2. So yeah, if you haven't seen it yet, you need to watch it.
Go watch it.
But there are spoilers in this podcast, just so you know.
So, and moving on. So he basically he's in search for an assassin named Finnick Shan. Finnick Shan is an elite mercenary.
That's this guy's first bounty. That's the bounty
That's
puck
his
that he
first
shows
bounty.
Mando, right?
Yes.
I don't like what Mando said though. He's like, "You're tripping, dude." Like
yeah, she's gonna. Yeah, she's gonna kill you.
Apparently, the lore is that Fennec was a trained mercenary and had a a reputation of getting a number of kills. So
she made her name killing the top crime syndicates and working for the Hutts.
Yeah. So I mean, like, this isn't somebody you just you go pick up on.
It ain't an easy catch and grab,
which we actually see, which is actually pretty interesting because this is the first time that I think we actually see Mando getting struck by any kind of fire from any kind of like blaster. Actually, I can't recall any times he was struck by a blaster in the last couple. I don't think, was he? I know he was gored by the
ram horn.
Yeah, exactly.
By the mud horn.
Yeah.
But as far as getting shot, not really. I don't, because even then it was.
He does get shot several times in this episode, and that was pretty cool to watch because there's a whole entire thing with that. But anyway, so yeah, he's convinced to go on this. He has to pick up spare work because once again the Razor Crest has sustained some damage in the firefight, like you'd mentioned, right? So he drops off the Razor Crest at this repair facility. And he doesn't have enough money, obviously. So he's trying to pick up some spare work to pay for the repairs that need to take place. In the meantime, he leaves Baby Yoda on the ship, right? He doesn't tell anybody about it, just leaves Baby Yoda on the ship. And this goes back to like the thing about Mando is that it just seems like at every opportunity he wants to leave Baby Yoda.
He's just like, he's fine. He's fine. He's fine. He's good.
He's a tough kid. He'll figure it out.
He's 50 years old already, anyways.
Yeah. And
50 years old already.
But it's funny as we see Baby Yoda obviously being mischievous, and he decides to take a walk off the ship and get into a little bit of trouble. I mean,
he hobbles off the ship.
Yeah,
he doesn't walk. He
hobbles. He doesn't get into trouble, but he makes friends.
Yeah. But basically, these guys, they're like team up because they want to go after Finnick Shan, and basically,
which is there's a pretty cool. This is a pretty cool scene because he asked for speeders, and so we get a really good speeder scene, which is always fun. Speeder scenes are always one of those things. This is a callback to Return of the Jedi, where you have a speeder scene on Endor. Remember that?
Yes. And I was going to say the lady who he leaves Baby Yoda with is Pel Mato. Her name is. She's a mechanic who works on ships there.
That's right.
Her name is Pel Mato.
But once again, like I said, so we get a really good speeder scene, and this is pretty cool too because it also reminded me of the scene with
Anakin.
Anakin, exactly, because
Anakin going after his mother.
Exactly. And do you remember when Darth Maul had his speeder bike, right? And he takes off through the desert.
That was tight too.
Yeah.
And it's all on Tatooine
as well. It's all
Tatooine. Everything, all the speeders on Tatooine besides episode 6.
Yeah. So for me that was like the highlight of the episode is all the callbacks to the originals, right? All the little bit of the little fan services that you notice, but it was just the beauty because there was references of them. The episode itself, to me personally, I feel like is another filler episode. Like there's no purpose. There wasn't like anything was actually uncovered. All we discovered is that there's still people looking for Baby Yoda out in the universe. That's it. That there's still a price on Mando's head because of Baby Yoda. So for me, that was kind of like the whack part of the episode. Is that it was just it's just another filler episode. It's not really story. But then again, I'm wondering if like Mandalorian is going to have this non-cohesive. It's just every episode is different. Every episode doesn't necessarily have to. It
We
could be a
don't know what
standalone episode.
Yeah, we don't know how the genre is yet. We've only had one season, so
Exactly. So
it's kind of like, yeah.
Well, they're on the speeders. Mando
They
and
take
Calican
off, yep.
are on the skeeters, and they travel, definitely out into the desert and stuff. But this is strange, okay? Because this is in a timeline that is it's pretty interesting because if you remember, Return of the Jedi starts on Tatooine, right? Jabba the Hutt.
Jabba the Hutt's palace. Jabba's palace.
Right, and they end up on his pleasure barge out in the desert. Whatever. It's a pleasure barge. There's just like a band and drinks going.
And Slave Leia dancing.
And Slave Leia. It's a pleasure barge. Come on, what are you gonna
Come on. It's a gentleman's club.
Yeah, I mean Mark Twain was on this thing, I'm saying? He was on this barge gambling, So this is so we can't forget that there was a moment where we seen Boba Fett on Tatooine.
Tatooine too as well. So it's like, okay, it's a callback to the Mandalorian.
Because there's a Sarlacc pit. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
So according to the lore about Boba Fett is that he actually survives the Sarlacc pit.
Yeah.
Who knows how long it took him? It took him to get out of it, which is also interesting because there's a rumor that we might see Boba Fett
in the new
season
two.
Season 2. So here we have 5 years after Return of the Jedi, right?
They've hinted Boba Fett and Ahsoka Tano. If you're a Clone Wars fan,
exactly.
Ahsoka Tano too from Clone Wars. Anakin's Padawan, which is so crazy.
So this episode had all that nostalgic feel for me. And like it was all that wonder was there. It's added on to the universe for me. So that's what makes this episode good. This is what makes this episode good for me. I don't think I'm even talking to my microphone. I've been way back here.
Yeah.
Anyways, but yeah,
basically.
But they do encounter some familiar faces out there in the desert, some familiar characters. Want to talk about that?
Well, they stop and notice that there's 2 banthas out in the middle of the desert. They run into Tusken Raiders.
Mm-hmm.
If you know, Tusken Raiders are very, very prominent in Los Eisley area in the desert planet.
Yep.
So, which is like a big callback. When I saw that, it was like a big callback to A New Hope. That's all I could think about.
But this was also different too because we actually seen Mando communicate with the Tusken Raiders in this one.
And so here was the cool thing: he trades binoculars for safe passage.
Yeah,
which is cool because it's never been seen before where you actually make trade deals with Tusken Raiders. Usually, it's like be killed or run away. Type thing.
Because you remember the pod races, the Tusken Raiders would be out there shooting the racers. And then when
this is
you see
first-hand.
Kenobi even chase them off, right? He didn't even want to talk with him. He was just like,
he made some abrupt noises, and then Anakin just kills everybody for no reason. Just kidding.
Kills all those Tusken Raiders for no reason.
And not just the men, but the women and the children too. And he slaughtered them like animals. No, but basically, you get to see them trade with the Tusken Raiders, which is so cool because it's like, here's some binoculars, bro. Like, oh, here's safe. They've given us safe passageway.
Right.
It's like, okay, so now we know, like, okay, so Tusken Raiders aren't really like these dumb brute animals. They actually communicate.
They are just a misunderstood culture.
They're misunderstood culture. Exactly. There we go. We never seen that before in Star Wars.
But that's cool. That's what I really like about The Mandalorian because it is giving us a view at the rest of the galaxy, right?
Yes,
so this is after the Hutts. The Hutts are the people that ruled and enslaved Tatooine, right?
Exactly.
So, like, it's such a crazy, like, it's a weird, like, after.
This is after the slavery. This is after all that.
This is after the gangs and
the Hutts
and the Empire. So the Empire and the gangs are no longer there. So which is crazy because you actually see Mando. They don't even and when he walks into the cantina, he even talks. They even talk about like the the bounty hunters guild doesn't even operate over here anymore, and obviously, Jabba the Hutt was pretty friendly with bounty hunters because Boba Fett was hanging out with him back in the day.
And the crazy thing is when right after they make the trade with the Tusken Raiders, they come across dewbacks, which is
Yeah,
another it's a big thing because dewbacks are only seen in Tatooine. Uh, they're a desert planet. They're native to the desert planet. They're a thick-skinned reptile. Um, they use the beasts basically. They're called beasts of burden, and basically they use them to throw all their luggage on top of pretty much.
oh wow,
And so as well as mount for specialized sand troopers and dewback troopers. So
that's right. There was a
which
dead
is
bounty hunter
yeah
on the dewback. That's right.
yeah
And this is where we actually see where they try to apprehend the I forget Fennec. This is where they try to actually capture
yeah
Fennec. So once again, this episode they're trying to Mando picked up some extra work. He's helping another fellow bounty hunter accomplish his first mission, and the first bounty hunter was such a greenhorn, such a noob that he didn't know that the bounty he was collecting was of some importance. So Mando's like bringing his expertise to the table, and they're gonna split. He's gonna take the reward while the other guy takes the bounty to get into the guild. Because he's trying to prove his worthiness to the bounty hunter guild. And at this point, Mando gets struck by a sniper.
yeah.
We see him get struck by a sniper, which is pretty cool because he survives. And he makes a comment. He talks about the Beskar. He's like, he struck my Beskar.
Good thing the Beskar held up.
Yeah,
The
he's like,
Beskar held up.
which is so we hear about Beskar metal, and this just goes to this just solidifies more of the reputation of his armor. He can take sniper blasts at
Yep.
this range.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of cool because it
He
they
even
make a
says
big
it
deal
too
about
at
his
that
armor.
range. Yep. He even says too at that range the Beskar held up.
Yeah.
So it's like it's kind of just looking more like, okay, well, this is their armor is legit. It's not just ghetto. It's not just like some cheesy armor. It's actually
he actually
it'll
looks at the other
withstand some
guy.
shots.
Yeah, he turns over and he looks at the other guy and he's like, Beskar held up at this range, and then he looks over at the other guy who's just wearing whatever, some kind of like thin cloth armor or something.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, I don't think you're gonna make it. So,
Yeah.
they devise a plan to actually close the gap between them and the sniper. Wants to talk about that?
Well, Mando and Tano actually they want to wait for the cover of darkness pretty much to pass basically the bounty hunter. They want to wait till because Finnick's basically waiting them out pretty much because if they pop their heads out, they can get sniped out.
They can take a snipe shot.
Yeah. And like we said already, Mando takes a hit, and that basically he's like, you know what, I'm gonna draw the fire pretty much. They come to a decision of like, you know what, Mando's like, I'm gonna draw the fire. You go around and you kind of sneak attack type feel, And so they do this to draw out Finnick pretty much.
Right. So they did this speeder dash from where they were across this they had to close the gap between them and the sniper, and so
yeah.
They use their speeders obviously, and they wait for the cover of darkness. Obviously, it didn't work out too well for Mando because he actually got shot. But he survived.
I'll take the bullets, bro, because I got
the
the legit armor on. I guess because I'm the only one with legit armor.
Yeah.
And basically, they take Finnick prisoner at this time, and basically, Mando's like, "Well, we have to bring her back somehow. We only got 2 speeders, So it's like,
No,
there's a few. They had only one. Yeah, they had one
because
speeder.
Mando's speeder got
it got blown up. So they're down to 1 speeder, and they're trying to figure out a way. Like, okay, we're gonna need that dewback that we saw back there. We gotta throw her on the dewback, throw me on the dewback, and we'll go back.
But it's funny, there's always a situation with as soon as as soon if he's not in his spaceship for some reason, it just seems like he's always having a problem catching a ride. It's just like
Yeah.
Mando's one problem is that he cannot get a ride to get like, or his ride always blows up or something, you know.
Or he has to do something to get passageway, or he has to do
something to get a ride.
He has to do a deed, you know. And so it's like it never goes his way, and you could even tell, like in his voice, like he's just like, "There's a dude back there that I can have to go get." He's just like, again. Oh my gosh.
Well, so Mando is actually, he ends up basically, you know, going back to fetch the dewback so that way they can bring their prisoner in, right? During this time, Toro, or Mr. Calican, I don't know what you would call him, whatever you want to call him, he ends up finding out that Mando is carrying a more valuable package than the bounty that they're actually chasing. Because I think Fennec
sweet talks him, kind of like,
yeah,
hey, you know what? You got a way bigger bounty on your hands than you think. And he's like, what do you mean by that? Like, what are you trying to say? And she's like, well, rumor has it there's a bounty hunter that has a package, you know, that's like, she's like trying to point him out, like, hey.
Right.
And then Fennec's like, well, I mean, Tano's like, that package, like that bounty hunter, how do you know? It's like, well, you know, come on now.
He's
there's not that
supposed
many.
To be a Mandalorian. There's only so many of them out here. You know?
There's only so many of them out there. It has to be a Mandalorian. I mean, might as well, lucky guess, but let's check it out. You know?
Yeah. So what ends up happening is Mr. Calican ends up killing Fennec out in the desert, right? And takes the speeder bike back to Mos Eisley to hopefully get the jump on Mando. That's what I think the plan is, right? It's because Mando comes back to pick her up, and he finds her dead.
Finds her blasted on the floor. So it's just like, oh, okay. He returns with the dewback, finds Fennec killed pretty much. So Mando ends up heading back to the spaceport, and only to find what's his name, Tano, or holding Baby Yoda.
Right. It seems like, I feel like Mando should just kind of hang out next to his ship, and then usually the trouble will just come to him, because it just seems like most episodes end up at his ship.
By his ship.
Yeah, it's just him there.
Exactly.
So at this point though, Baby Yoda has been with Palimoto, or whatever her name is. I don't know. Yeah. Has been hanging out at the repair shop, the repair facility with this character, and just doing Baby Yoda stuff, you know, the cute little giggles and stuff. One thing I noticed is that the subtitle says that Baby Yoda coos. He cooed. Is a Baby Yoda cooed, and I'm like, oh my god, he coos.
Baby Yoda.
But yeah, so he's just kind of been hanging out there, being cute little Baby Yoda and stuff, and then this guy shows up, and this is where the scene picks up. Basically what ends up happening is Mando, you know, barges in, and he's like, where's he at? And he's already in the back of the ship with Baby Yoda, right?
With Baby Yoda. And he replies to Mando, and he tells him, he's like, you're a guild traitor. Like, strictly, like, tells him, like, hey, you don't belong, you know, this is totally against the standard, this is what you do, you know. Mm-hmm. And basically the only thing on Mando's mind is like, yo, let go, Baby Yoda. Let go, Baby Yoda, dog. You know.
Well, I thought it was funny is that he kind of used like a smoke screen tactic that he always uses. And it just seems like this is always the trick up Mando's sleeve, is he always has a little bit of he has like a David Blaine trick up his sleeve all the time, you know.
He has a distraction or something, has something, you know.
Some sort of gadget.
Some sort of gadget. And basically, but the whole point is that Tano is trying to turn Mando in to become part of the guild, but Mando's like, you know what? I'm not gonna let you. You know, you got the kid. You know, you may have my ship like right now, but you know what? That ain't going down. You know, it's not gonna go down like that. And so you see Mando kind of like he hits I think it's a pipe or something. Is it, or what is it? It's a smoke screen thing. It
is like a smoke. It's like a flashbang almost.
Yeah, it's like a flashbang. There we go. And like he throws that out, it explodes, and then he ends up like he uses that as a distraction and shoots Tano. You know,
And we
so
don't
it's
know
like,
where
so
Baby Yoda goes. So there's
you
like
don't know where
there's a
Baby
cut
Yoda
screen.
goes.
You're like, where did
Either
he
he
go?
falls,
No.
he throws him or something. You know, so you don't know. Basically, he basically either gets dropped and hides. That's what I'm guessing. You know,
That's it.
you know, Mando takes Phoenix. Basically, Mando takes Tano's credits pretty much and gives them to Pelimato.
That's right. So after he blasts Tano for picking up Baby Yoda, he takes his credits
He
from his
grabs
belt.
his credits. Like what is savage is this guy? Like he kills him and just like, I'll take those. Here, I'll pay for my. This will pay for everything.
This will pay for everything.
Like what is savage?
But this was
take
funny though.
There's
another callback though, because when Calican dies, I believe actually oh gosh, what does she say? Motto actually says she tells him to throw the body into like Beggar's Canyon, I think.
Yeah, Beggar's Canyon.
Yes,
yeah,
which is where Luke Skywalker used to shoot womp rats, right?
Swamp rats. So she would shoot womp rats with oh my god, not Wedge, but
is it
with
Dak? No, that's his name. What's his name?
No, not Dak. It's I can't remember his name exactly.
I think it's Wedge.
It's no, not Wedge. It's not Wedge. Well,
it's one of those pilots.
Yeah.
It's one of those pilots. Anyways, yeah, so we hear a callback to that too, which was really cool. That was another like fan service thing where it's just like, oh, that's what I watched this for. I really watch it to just kind of like, you know, see a little bit more of that connectivity in the story. Because right now the filler stuff is just not cool. I don't like it. You know, I don't like all the filler story. There's no point to it. You know, I didn't need to know that you stopped off at 3 places and you killed everybody that chased you. That's it. You know,
Luke grew up with Biggs.
Biggs, exactly.
Yeah, Biggs.
That's right. That's right.
See, that's and which is stuff like that. That's cool. Like, oh, it brings back memories. Like now you see, like, oh, Beggar's Canyon. It's a nod, like, oh, that's where Luke and Biggs used to go. You know, they used to go with their racers. That's tight. You know, just like little cool things like that.
Yeah. So overall, though, what would you rate this episode? If you had to rate this episode, 1 being, you know, terrible, 10 being the best, give me a rating.
You know, sheesh. Basically, you meet these characters. You know, you see these little. The only thing that I would say, like, it was another side. It felt like a side, you know, again.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it was like all these playbacks to the original kind of gave it. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. That's cool.
Right.
So, you know, I gave it like a 6 or a 7 again.
I agree with you. I'd give it a 6.
You know, just because it's so hard to like. I couldn't give it like a 10 because it's like it's not the best episode. I don't think that's like the best that the Mandalorian has to offer.
The first episode, I think, is probably the first and maybe third episode are probably my favorites so far. The first and third, I think.
That first episode is totally John Wayne, just all John Wayne.
I think the same thing with the third episode. Third episode's pretty much like that too, because that's when the rest of the Mandalorians show up.
The Mandalorians show up. Yep.
So for me, those parts have been like the highlights of the show for me. These standby episodes, just kind of a little, I don't know, I feel like they're wasting time, but overall,
fillers,
I mean, they are fillers, but they are enjoyable, and it's just more meme.
I like the throwbacks though in these fillers. Though I like the little throwbacks. This one had a lot more than the fish, than the fish one or the island one.
That's right.
So that's why I kind of like this one more than that one.
Than last week's episode.
Than the last week's episode, yeah. Because this one had a lot more little teasers in it.
So we also had an opportunity to catch episode 5 of Star Wars Resistance.
Yes,
why don't you break down that? What was episode 5 title and stuff?
Star Wars episode 5 Resistance was called The High Tower. And it was 23 minutes long. It was actually one of their smaller episodes. kind of they're shorter ones.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, you find out, uh,
There's some actual.
this.
I feel like this episode there was actually some actual real details that we've been waiting for, that we've been kind
Mhm.
of like, we've heard about there's been an issue, but we haven't seen any evidence of that taking place. Like, we hear about the First
What's going
Order,
on?
and
Yeah.
I feel like this episode we answer some of those questions, or at least we get hints to what could be going on actually. Because remember, what is Kaz's reason for being at this station?
He's supposed to be a spy. He's supposed to catch the spy from the First Order. There's a
Exactly.
spy that's works for the First Order. Cass's whole mission is to find out who the heck the spy is.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what these past 5 episodes have been about. Is this guy's trying to figure out who the heck is the First Order communicating with? Who's this gonna be? So his eyes are open. He plays like this guy who's stupid, like he's dumb, but at the same time he's like, in the back of his head, he's like, I gotta keep an eye out and see what's going on. So
Right.
he's aware of everything, but he has to play like the dumb guy, you know? And so basically in this episode, it starts out with Cass getting a call from Niku. Um, they get new comms. They're like, well, we got new comms and stuff like that. They get new equipment and stuff. Their ship is what is it? Basically, they have to chill because the ship is it's rationing electricity for 100
Yeah,
hours,
so the post
and so
basically the
they're kind of like they got to be on chill mode. They got to like go ahead.
yeah, so basically, I mean, so the post that they're actually stationed at is the water base that they're stationed at is actually losing energy. So the entire
Mhm.
station itself there's instructions over the intercom saying, "Hey, we are conserving energy." And so what you end up finding out though is that a unlikely delivery of an energy or fuel source comes from some people who are connected with the First Order,
Yeah,
right? So this is big. This is sort of like big. I guess like I guess. I mean, it's not like big, but I mean, for the story, the plot line, what Kaz is trying to figure out, this is big for his story.
this is big for his story because he's like his whole thing is trying to find out who's the First Order, where they are, who's this supposedly undermining like spy, you know.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
so basically, we meet the basically Captain Dozer is said to be behind it all. And Captain Dozer is kind of like the head honcho there at that port,
At that spaceport, that
at that
station. Yeah.
spaceport. And so like that's the rumor is that Captain Dozer is kind of behind all these small little things that have been happening. He's maybe part of the First Order at their thinking. He might be part
Right.
of it. He might be working with them. Who knows? Um, Basically, in this moment, Cass and his crew are talking about Captain Dozer and getting into the tower because the tower is kind of like where all like the rich people are, or like
Right.
the
The
if
famous
you're
racers. So
the famous racers are in the tower.
yeah, because
Yeah,
at the spaceport, once again, racing is like a huge part of the culture on this port, kind of like pod racing almost. And so
yeah,
there's a character hype phase on this guy. Keeps saying it's a cool name. We actually get to meet him a little bit in this
yeah,
episode,
yeah.
which is really cool too. Even though he turns out to be just a jerk.
A
Um,
jerk, pretty much.
pretty
Yeah,
much a jerk. But it was still kind of cool that we actually get to see the character hype phase on and the cool character name. And I thought, like, I mean,
the
it's just a
ace
cool thing.
pilot.
Exactly. Yeah.
And he has like his moment too. Like he walks into the building. He's known as Hype Phazon, the ace pilot. Walks into the building and like Cass is like fascinated with him. He's just like, oh my god, it's Hype Phazon, guys! Like, do you see this? Do you see this? Like, it's like one of those moments, like
Yeah.
And so Cass is like fascinated, and he learns that how Hype before was an ace, pretty much. Like he was like he's just like this. He was a super good pilot, He's just like he was an ace fighter and stuff like that, and so like he's just like fascinated.
He's just a fanboy of High Phazon.
Yeah, yeah,
Kaz is a fanboy of High Phazon, right? And you get to see a
yeah.
little bit of that today in episode 5 of Resistance. But once again, so
Tam though, but okay, go on. What were you gonna
no,
say?
no, you
I'll
go
go.
for it.
Well, I was gonna say Tam though, the girl who's with
Who is the
who's with
mechanic? Who's the lead
who's a
mechanic?
mechanic,
Yeah,
who's with Kaz. She knows about Hype though before he was an ace.
yeah. She
Like
was a
she
friend of
knows
Hype.
him personally. They were friends, and she says he's basically. She's like, well, he's only about himself, kind of like he's he's all for showboating,
Yeah.
So like where Kaz is like, this guy is great, he's the best, and then you have somebody who actually worked with him, and she's just like, no, dude,
Well,
this guy is kind of
I think they just wanted to show how naive Kaz is. You know,
yeah, yeah,
he really has just a really big heart, but he's just really dumb, and he
mhm,
doesn't know how to read people. You know, he can never
yeah,
read the room. That's just his character,
yeah,
and but once again, his character kind of fails up all the time, right?
yeah,
And this episode reminded me of Cloud City quite a bit, because there is a part where they're running through the halls, and Kaz actually uses those new what were they called? The comm links that they had. He
yeah.
uses those new comm links to actually hear a plan. The First Order basically leverage a deal with what's his name? I forget his name. Who's the leader of that space plane?
It's Captain Dozer.
Captain Dozer, right? So the First Order basically leverage a deal with him and say, like, we'll continue to bring you a fuel, because we know that the pirate attacks are becoming even more frequent, because
Mhm.
last episode it started off with a pirate attack. Remember that?
Yeah, yep,
So in this episode, it seemed like the First Order was basically they are trying to establish like some sort of I guess security or and delivery service for them, and you could see that they're trying to get their way back into it, right? And they actually
hmm
talk about the New Republic. They talk about the New Republic's trade deals, right? And because this takes place after this takes place, I believe, right before the Force Awakens,
the
or
Force
during the
Awakens.
Force Awakens. I'm
It
not,
has to be in between. It has to be
or I'm sorry, but didn't last week's episode we had said that I forget his name. He's the older guy who owns the ship that Kaz is supposed to fly in last week's
mm,
episode. Do you remember?
I'm trying to remember his name.
They take his fuel. They take his actual fuel from it. They go rob him for his fuel.
I can't remember his name exactly.
He's Kaz's mentor.
Oh, Jaeger. Jaeger,
Jaeger,
yes.
yes. Okay, so
Yeah.
Jaeger
Um,
fought in a certain battle. What battle was
he
that?
fought in the oh my goodness, I'm trying to remember the Battle of Jakku.
So he fought in the Battle of Jakku. Where was Jakku? When did that happen? The Battle of Jakku happened
Jakku,
in.
Jakku happened actually in the okay, so it kind of happened in between episode 6 and episode 7. It has to be a little bit after, because you even notice that, well, it kind of eyes episode 7, where you see in episode 7 the star cruisers are in the sand.
Yeah,
So like that was where TIE fighters were fighting, X-wings and stuff like that, so it's like, okay, it had to be somewhere in between episode 6 and episode 7, the Battle of Jakku.
yeah. So he fought in the Battle of Jakku. So this definitely takes place after that. So I would say, I don't know. I want to say this is
7, 8 probably. I don't. It's hard to say because Poe Dameron's still in it. You still see, and so the setting of it has to be in between 7 and 8.
or is it between 6? I believe.
Could be 6 and 7 too.
Anyways, I'm not 100% sure, but anyway, so we do know that the First Order is in full is they are on the rise. I believe
Yeah.
that's what we know, is that they are on the rise, in increasing their power. That's what they're trying to do, right? And so at the end of this episode, basically what we determine is that there is a First Order threat,
Yeah.
and that Kaz is on to the First Order threat. So before, we had word that there is a First Order spy. They don't know where. They don't necessarily know what's going on. This is the first time we actually get to see or hear of it, or of a plan from First Order. And this is what I think, though. I think that the First Order is actually purposely orchestrating the pirate attacks, so that way they can provide the fuel. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So kind of they have that port.
That's what I think. I think
And
that's what's happening.
so I think Captain Dozer works for Captain Phasma somehow, some way. So the First Order, they have to be linked somehow, you know.
Well, we'll have to wait and see.
We'll have to wait and see, you know. I think that there's some Dozer linked in with the First Order. There's that spaceport there, so it's kind of like they're fighting for position, you know. And so that's what I believe.
Hey, so did you get a chance to see some of the new photos that were dropped for season 2 in Mandalorian?
Yes, I did. I saw a few of them.
Which one did you get to see? Because there were some of these I think that we talked about last week. We talked about maybe possibly seeing the return of a character from last week's episode. I forget her name. She was a drop trooper from last week's episode.
Yes. It was I'm trying to remember her name exactly. Her name is.
Anyways, well, right. So
go ahead. Anyways, keep on going. I'll get her name right now.
Some of these new photos that dropped for Mandalorian did answer some of these questions, where we actually got to see we get to see reoccurring faces, and I know one of them.
Cara Dune
is going to be a returning character. Exactly. She actually shows up in one of these photos, which is pretty cool, because we had talked about that last week. Like, I wonder if she's going to be reoccurring. I actually would like to see her more, because I think her character is interesting. And I want to see that I think the fans all kind of want to see her sort of be on Mando's squad. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, and also it would have been cool if I forget the first guy that he runs into in episode 2. His sidekick in episode 2. I forget his name.
Not Moff Gideon.
It was the guy in episode 2. Anyways, so it seems like there's all these characters that he runs into. We've wanted to see them join the team, and I think these pictures definitely show us that there'll be some. We'll see some reoccurring characters that we actually liked in season 1. We actually get to see Carl Weathers' character again, which will be great.
Carl Weathers, Cara Dune. You see Baby Yoda in a satchel. Oh my God, he gets carried in a satchel on the side of a speeder. Yes. Oh my goodness, he's like a saddlebag.
Yeah, another one. You just kind of see him in the saddlebag in the back.
That's so cool.
Definitely. I mean, nothing's cooler than Mando and Baby Yoda chilling in a saddlebag, right?
It's just chilling, And there's another one where they're just both chilling up against a wall, looking like thugs. It's just so cool.
Yeah. Also, too, I also heard that there's going to be some new actual like stardom in season 2, characters that we should be on the lookout for. People who, famous actors who are going to be in it. There was a report of possibly seeing Rosario Dawson in season 2. Also reports of seeing. I want to say Robert Rodriguez. I think I heard. So there's some names, some people that we need to be prepared to look out for season 2. Super
and definitely
excited
they're thinking about there's a little hint they're trying to get Ahsoka in there. So we'll see. Maybe we get Ahsoka Tano from Clone Wars.
That'll be awesome.
Which was Anakin's Padawan. So we may be able to see. That'd be cool because it would all fit all together too.
All right, yeah, I think we actually talked about a lot today. We had about 15 minutes, guys, so we are definitely moving through some of the material. But yeah, I had a good time. I hope you guys had a good time listening to another episode of Star Bros.
Star
That's what I'm
Bros.
talking about. Some Star Bros.
Pew, pew.
Yeah. Any last words that you want to leave us with, bro, before we sign off tonight?
I just can't wait for season 2. Definitely see where this picks up off of. See what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Very excited. I'm also excited. Also new content came in about talking about Star Wars Celebration. Also too.
Really?
Yes. So with Star Wars Celebration, they had to move up the date because of COVID, unfortunately. And there we will get. They had to postpone the date, and so they're looking at August 2020.
August 2020.
2022.
Oh,
so which is in 2 years from now.
Wow.
Yeah. So and there
That's a
we're
huge...
supposed to get, which is a big craziness because of COVID. Threw everything off.
Right.
We were actually supposed to get it this summer. COVID was. Celebration was supposed to be this summer for episodes because they're going to release the 3 new episodes.
Exactly.
So it's going to be episode 10, 11, and 12 are coming out. So, and which is so cool because obviously now that Star Wars is owned by Disney, it's going to just keep on rolling with the punches and keep on going. So not even COVID can stop Disney.
Yeah.
So definitely excited for this new 3 episodes coming out.
Definitely. Hey guys, so once again, thank you so much for listening to the Average Fellas podcast. Keep your eyes and ears open for Mandalorian stuff. We're just Star Wars fans trying to, live in a Star Wars universe.
Yep.
Once again, thank you guys for listening to the Average Fellas podcast. This is another episode of Star Bros. All right, guys. We'll catch y'all later.